I'm reminded that the committee is to meet with Judith for a photograph after the presentations. And now we come to the part we've all been waiting for, the actual presentation of the medal. Judith Ferrara's biography is on the wrong side, but I still think it is proper for me to read it again. Her poetry essays have been published in 3 collections: Gestures of Trees, A Brush with Words, and The Little O, The Earth, Travel Journals, Art, and Poems. And in journals such as the Black Fly Review, the Comstock Review, the Portland Poetry Review and Literary Journal, the GSU Review, and the Worcester Review. In 2009, she began a study of poet Stanley Kunitz, and Judith continued to do research on his life and poems, and now his mother, continuing to discover new insights into the history of Kunitz and Worcester. In 2016, she transcribed the correspondence, memoir, and diary of his mother, Jetta Kunitz, dying, and is currently developing that manuscript that includes these materials as well as supporting chapters about her life. Her art has appeared in group and solo exhibitions since 1998. And one thing that's not in the biography, but I think is essential to her work with Kunitz, is how closely she's worked with Carolyn Gregg Stockmall to make that Kunitz boyhood home a living museum that is just a fascinating place for anybody who cares about Kunitz and poetry to visit. So thank you again for that. So at this time, we would like to present you, Judith, if you will come forward. Gary Moore has framed the broadside for you, so that is for yours. Okay, the original. And of course, Judith will have the 4th name, and it's really nice now because the tradition is gotten to the point where now I have to count which one is it. And that was my goal, that this would take on a life of its own, and it certainly has. This is the certificate, which, when I realized that John Hodgkin, you need to get up here and sign it. So, afterwards, get that over with. And there's a small honorarium that also comes with the awards. Congratulations. It's just a great pleasure to award Judith Ferrara with the 4th annual Stanley Kunitz Medal. Another event that's another exciting thing, the Worcester County Poetry Society linked with the city of Worcester, England in a poetry project. And 23 poets from Worcester, England, matched up with 23 poets from central Massachusetts and Worcester for linked verses. The Worcester, Massachusetts reading will be September 28th, so at the Sprinkler Factory. I think it's going to be an exciting night, so put that one on your calendar as well. And now,
directions from the boss. He thinks.
I thought that was
I photographed Stanley Kunitz before all the phones. One time, I said to him the very first time, I will never photograph you when you're weak. And he never did. Oh, okay. So, take it from here.
My heartfelt gratitude for this honor to join Michael True, the late Dan Lewis, and Carl Johnson as recipient of the Stanley Kunitz Medal. My appreciation and acknowledgement goes to these people. Mark Wagner, talented musician, but I don't know if you know or remember that he led the effort to secure the Stanley Kunitz request that supports the Stanley Kunitz Medal. And Roger Martin, all the work you've done, you have chaired that committee each year, and it makes this event a reality. Bob Gill, is he here? Where is Bob? Is he in the kitchen? Bob, can you hear me? Bob Gill is the engine of the WCPA. To paraphrase Stanley Kunitz, what makes the engine go? Dedication, dedication. And that's Bob Gill. Gary Hoare, thank you for the wonderful broadside and now the original watercolor. Thank you so much for your talent. AJ Lito, the web manager of the KunitzHome.org website. K5 Steele, the model designer. Anne Marie Lucci, and welcome your creative spark and skills and dedication. Special appreciation to the committee members, Bob Cronin, John Hodgen, Ken Lundquist, and Susan Elizabeth Sweeney, who are always the best to me for your work on this wonderful committee. John Gorman, my constant light and support, and whose belief in me never seems to flag, no matter what new and challenging project comes to mind. Carol Stockbaum, you are the co-sponsor of this event, and much more. Carol opens the door to her home and to her heart to cultivate the legacies of Stanley Kunitz and Greg Stockbaum. You don't know the way I know. Carol works diligently every day, every month, every year to honor the memories of Worcester's two native sons. And Bill Wallace, thanks to you, our gracious host, Executive Director of the Worcester Historical Museum, and it is not lost on me that I'm standing at this podium, believe me. And thank you to everyone, all my friends who have, you're like my family, you are my family. We know that Stanley Kunitz ached for community, and he worked his life to have a community. And he was so happy in 1985 to discover the Worcester poetry community at the festival. And Carl, I believe you were the chair of that wonderful event, series of events. It was a whole week. And that was a week that Stanley Kunitz met Carol and Greg Stockbaum. So there's such a wonderful story in that. My goal is not to wow you with a few poems tonight, but to ask you to think about those impulses that make People write poetry. Now, we've heard many fine poems tonight, so I decided to take a risk. I'm going to share 2 novice poems. One is called Fire Dance, and here's the artifact, and I'll put it up here later if you want to take a look at it. Notice the brown nature of the drawing paper. It's about 60 years old, so it is an artifact from the late 50s, early 60s. My family lived on the 2nd floor across the street from a foundry in Buffalo, New York. And the view from this enclosed front porch window was molten metal being cast. And I loved to observe the noisy, colorful spectacle as the metal was being poured, especially at night. Inspiration seized this teenager who grabbed a piece of drawing paper and wrote Fire Dance. Remember, 15 years old. Fire Dance. See it. Violet flash on blue-green wall. Forms new, grotesque, now delicate, smoky mist, embracing, curling round the dimmed light. Fire Dance. Hear it. Thump, thump. Arms of luminosity, reaching, flying in time, then blast furnace, crashing, seething, pounding, fantastic addition to the fire dance. Your ears must have picked up on the overabundance of gerunds, and your eye would notice, if you saw the poem, the spelling of fantastique. Might I speak French? Fluence? And I meant to use it as a musical reference, Fantasia, in a poem about a noisy blast furnace. So I had an idea, but I tried to be sophisticated in those days, and it often collided with my spelling abilities. So, take a look, I'll put this over here. Now, the second novice wrote this poem when she was 85 years of age, while living in a Mount Vernon, New York rest home after suffering the effects of a stroke. And that woman was Judith Kunitz. She alternated in her diary between severe depression and fleeting hope. And these are the impulses she used writing to express those feelings. She chose to end her diary with a poem she had drafted earlier on the back of a letter from her grandson's wife. And this is the first time tonight, and it's so fitting that it will be read in public. And it is not difficult to imagine how Della might have felt. And I have a copy of that artifact. The original is back with the papers, and Gretchen Kunitz is supposedly about to donate or sell the artifacts of the diary, the memoir, and the correspondence to Princeton University to join her son's 115 linear feet of papers. But this is Yedda's poem. She starts with Thursday, July 12th, 1951, and I'm just going to tell you that's the day she wrote this poem. Dated it was the day Carol was born. Now, yeah, I know. See, things work on so many levels. Again, a novice, 85-year-old novice. Back to the lands of yesterdays. Is a solace just divine. Back to friends of yore. Back through the dark and weary ways, where hearts of friends are awaiting me, warmed by the sun above. Back to life, light, and health, once more. And to the land of beginning again, where broken dreams come true, where skies are always blue. And she signs it, Y.H. Dine, July 12th, 1951. She writes one more sentence. There's something else written lower, but this is so important. A flicker of hope is again awakened in me. This is what writing this poem did for her. To honor Stanley Kunitz as a civil rights activist, I'm going to read my poem, Articulation. The inspiration for this poem came in Wellfleet, Massachusetts. I was sitting on a second floor deck and startled by the sight of a branch that was caught in a tree during an overnight storm. I made a painting pretty quickly after that experience. I had John snap a picture of the twig, and I collaged the photograph into a painting. But a month later, I read an article in Smithsonian about journalist and civil rights activist Ida B. Wells, born in 1862, who risked her life to end the commonplace practice of lynching. And this is a detail from the painting. You probably can't really see this, but you can come, I hope you can see it. Articulation, dedicated to Ida B. Wells. An old scrub pine caught a sculpture of twig and cone in last night's storm. From where I sit on the porch, the silhouette of a man hangs near the top branch against a violet sky. Head in perfect proportion to his trunk and limbs, Giacometti thin, lynched, he is a miniature horror. It is the slump, the hopelessness of his form that pains. One foot gone, the other with its tender soul wrenched up. Sculpture as impromptu as a cloud turned beast, as artful as the flag snapped stiff in the wind. And now I will read the poem from the broadside, but I will just say this about it. It was written, it was inspired by a workshop in the Stanley Kunitz Summer Writing Series, hosted by Carol. And for the past 3 years, it has been coordinated by Susan Levine, who is also here tonight. And so our participants from the workshops, it's just so thrilling to see that too. In 2015, workshop presenter Ann Sweetman, who is here, guided us through reading and writing to, quote, borrow from poets who quote animals in mantles of metaphor and myth. The impulse to create a poem was there that afternoon. Stanley Kunitz talked about continuing as a poet into his late years, and this is what he said. If I hadn't an urgent impulse, if the poem didn't seem to me terribly important, I never wanted to write it and didn't. And that's persistent. And I think that's what all of us who are writers and poets, it's the impulse that drives us. And the line from Stanley Kunitz poem is, some of them I own, and it's from my favorite poem, is The Layers. It will always be my favorite poem. Poem of the line from Stanley Kunitz, thanks to Ann Sweetman. I am a nightingale in search of a fallen glove, waiting for a cloudburst inside my chest. Once I was a coat of quills, seared by the wisdom of an owl, sighting a forest of crashing limbs, some of them my own. Now I fly over meadows with a mate whose cry is a keepsake of kelp, a reminder of our near drowning. Soon we will stop in a guarded grove, first to confess our altered affection, then quaff a flurry of petals and some gazing ball fluorescence. Because we know the ratio of burden to strength, because we know which way is home. Thank you all. You have a
Thank you, Judy, for that wonderful speech. Thank you for sharing those two poems. That just made this moment. A number of times people have talked about what makes the engine go tonight. Dedication, 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 desire, desire, desire. The Worcester County Poetry Association is coming up on its 50th anniversary. Always a volunteer organization. And for those of you that may be new to this, I would encourage you to come to our board meetings on the first Wednesday of every month during the regular year, not during the summer, at the Sprinkler Factory. Because one of the special things, at least for me, and I travel the New England circuit pretty regularly, is the remarkable ability of that desire and that in volunteers to make things happen, make things special. So I would certainly encourage you to come and put some of your own desires to work there as we move forward into hopefully another half century of special things. I'd like to close with another poem of Stanley Kunitz's, one of my favorites. It's a long poem, so I'm just going to read the opening section, The Wellfleet Whale, which ties in nicely with your poem, inspired by Wellfleet. Section 1. You have your language too, an eerie medley of clicks and hoops and trills, location notes and love calls, whistles and grunts. Occasionally, it's like furniture being moved, being smashed, or the creaking of a mossy door. Sounds that all melt into a liquid song with endless variations, as if to compensate for the vast loneliness of the sea. Sometimes a disembodied voice breaks in, as if from distant reefs, and it's as much as one can bear to listen to its long, mournful cry, a sorrow without name, both more and less than human. It drags across the ear like a record running down. Thank you all.